Good morning, everybody. Cody back here again with another episode of Daily Fantasy Hockey from the car. Last night was a 2-game slate, so instead of creating an article or a video on what you should do, I posted an article on how you can get better at building NHL lineups. So I listed a player pool on that article just based on what I would do. And it had Eichel, Brock Bozier, Alex Edler, Keith Yandel, and somebody at JT Miller, and Bo Horvat. They all had games last night. So if you actually read my article and made a lineup, you probably made some good money. I actually didn't play hockey last night. I had some personal stuff go on this week, so I just kind of took a break from the DFS scene, and work has been friggin' crazy. I'm going to be spending a lot of time driving today, work vehicles, but we're in my personal car now, so no big deal there. Tonight is pretty standard if you ask me. We have the god-awful San Jose Sharks coming into Boston. Boston's top line has been dominating literally everybody they play. So if you're paying up in a spot tonight, you're paying up for Boston. Okay, that's probably your best bet. Boston's other lines, they're solid on home ice, so I wouldn't really target them. But you can target San Jose's power play. The Bruins haven't looked that great on the power play so far this year. So, just as for this game, I'm thinking Pastrnak is number 1, Marchand number 2, and then some sort of defenseman from Boston. You don't want to clog up all your salary using them because they're going to be expensive, but they've been consistent. And consistency is really what you're looking for in daily fantasy hockey because you need the points, Next, I think Toronto is playing Washington. I don't know where that game is. I think it's in Toronto, meaning that Matthews line and that Kerfoot line are both in play. I don't think Toronto has that good of a third line. They're not going to score much. Babcock used to line match his second line on the opposing team's first line every night, and you could pick the first line of the other guys because that Tavares line, technically their second line, was terrible. So I think Oshie, Ovechkin, John Carlson all in play 100%. Again, that's another really expensive grouping of players. I haven't really found much value so far. I love Alex Kerfoot and I love Mitch Marner, and they're going to be a little bit less owned than, Austin Matthews and, say, William Nylander. But none of these guys come with a cheap price tag, so you really have to pick your spots today. Shit. Bro, that's not a good thing to do. You go in front. My good Christ. And that guy drives Lyft and almost just killed us. Anyway, back to what we're talking about. There are other games. Anaheim, Winnipeg. That one's a weird one. That's really late. It sucks tonight because I want to play a lot of people in the early games. And when you play a lot of people in the early games, it just feels like you watch your lineup fall every night, which is not always the case. Sometimes the game stack literally blows everything out of the water, but other times it doesn't happen that way. So, looking at the slate, Minnesota is very up and down too. They're a good spot to pick up some value pieces from. Eric Stahl is capable of having a game at any time. They have Kevin Fiala, who used to shoot the puck in Nashville a metric ton. Nashville is on this slate tonight. You might be able to get some value out of like a Ryan Johansson. Victor Arvidsson, I've been hoping he'd be a little bit better since, Forsberg went down, but he hasn't been that great. You kind of have to pick your spots on this one. I'll get more in depth with it a little bit later, but you can always bank on making money playing against Toronto. So that Washington first line, that Washington second line are all in play, but even on that second line with that Oshie line, it's like Oshie, Kuznetsov, and Vrana, or I think that's his name, I don't know how to say it, Vrana. They're in play, but none of them are cheap, so it's going to be tough if I want Boston 1 to squeeze that Washington 2 line in too, while also getting some of that Toronto because Toronto scores. But that's really where I think you want to go tonight. Look at Minnesota for some value pieces. Ryan Suter is going to play 30 minutes a night. I think tonight is one of those nights where you start building out from your goalie and defense. You get to your forwards, but you have a little idea of a player pool of what you want from your forwards. As we said again, Boston 1, Washington 1 and 2, Toronto 1, or just Toronto's power play. Depends. I would love to play Tyson Barrie or Morgan Riley, but the scoring has been so different and spread out among the Toronto defensemen. It's really tough to pick which one's going to have the night. All right, that's it for this edition from the car. I'll have an article up at some point later on today. Again, the majority of my day is going to be spent driving and finding my way back to my work and then going back out. So it'll be up a little bit later today. Look forward around 4 p.m. on Fantasy Sports Group. I will try to have this up right when I get in, but who knows when it'll actually be uploaded. And I need to add the thumbnail. Sorry about that last video. Things have been crazy. Like I said, personal stuff came up. So you guys have a great one. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope this has actually been helping you. Again, go read that article. Go read that article that I wrote about building your own lines. It gives you a perspective on what I do. Every morning I kind of get an idea of where I want to go. Then I check implied totals. And then based on implied totals, I pick predictable games. And from those predictable games, that's where I'm picking my biggest players, my studs, my must-haves, you know. And then out of those guys, I'm trying to find values after that. You know, a lot of time you can find value on power play units. All right, so you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon.